Biography. Growing up, I was raised in the church, but only sometimes when my grandma went. And we would go as a family, and that lasted until I was about in third grade, and we moved from Orange County down to Oceanside. And at that point, we didn't find another church and continued going. So I just had, small memories here and there of Sunday school. I wouldn't say I was raised in a Christian home with Christian values. It wasn't until I was pregnant and wanting to get married to my husband, Tim, that I really found the Lord. His family went to a church in Fallbrook, and to get married in their community church, they required me to be a member of the church. So I took a new members class at the church, and at the end they asked, does anyone want to accept Jesus into their heart? And I thought, well, I think I'm supposed to do that. So that's what I did, not knowing what it would be afterwards. And about 2.5 years ago, I started noticing some changes in Tim's behavior. And he came to me and said that he was unhappy in the marriage. We tried to go to counseling and work through some things. Ultimately, unfortunately, Tim ended up having a 9-month affair. I felt when I found out was complete devastation. We had been married for 14 years. We had 2 children together. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't work outside of the home. I tried to work it out with him. We separated for a time with him living outside of the home. That only furthered his direction towards the other person. I went immediately to prayer when everything started crumbling and when I found out about the affair, because I had learned from way back at the beginning of our marriage that God has a plan. And I did struggle. I struggled because I thought, God, you don't want divorce. Why is this happening? Why am I at a crossroads where I'm having to choose to divorce my husband or not? It's not what I wanted. God knew my heart. God knew I didn't want a divorce. But yet I'm still faced with this crossroads. And I just remember hearing God saying, I'll carry you. I've got this. Trust me. And that was scary because I thought, trust you to leave my husband? What am I going to do for a job? Where am I going to go? What about my kids? I don't work. And it was very scary in that moment to put all my faith and trust in God that He had this. In the last 2.5 years, among the wreckage and heartbreak and devastation of the loss of my marriage, I have really seen God move in a lot of ways. And one miracle I can think of specifically was the fact that I was able to save our home and stay in it with the kids. Like I said before, I hadn't worked in 13 years. I stayed at home to raise our children, and who was going to give me a loan for a house when I hadn't worked in 13 years? I decided that laying on the ground and crying over something that was out of my control wasn't going to work. Within a matter of 6 months, I had got a job and I was working full time. And by a miracle, I was able to qualify for a home loan and refinance the home that Tim and I owned together and refinance it in my name only. And I feel like that was a miracle for someone who wasn't working for 13 years and only had 6 months of job history. I remember praying every single night when I put the kids to bed. I would pray with them. I would pray with them for their dad. I would pray with them for myself and for them. And I would pray, God, if it's your will and you want us to stay in this home, let it be done. You know our hearts. You know we want to stay here. And things that's helped get me through the last 2.5 years outside of my faith is just I like to call them cheerleaders, basically friends and family and members of the church that have just rallied around me and embraced me in my good times and in my pain and my tears and have kept me going. Tim's family is amazing. I have a wonderful relationship with his parents still, and his sister, who also goes to the church, and her husband Justin, who's an elder on the elder board. They have prayed for me. They have prayed for Tim. They've prayed for my children. Katie Loeffler has met with me countless times to try to coach me through and share her wisdom in being a single mama too. Financially, the church has supported me at a time where I needed it most, and I wouldn't be able to get through what I've gotten through without all these different people supporting me along the way. I feel like I picked up the pieces of my heart and put it back inside my chest, but I really feel for the longest time that my heart was held together by Band-Aids. One little thing and the Band-Aid would fall off and I'd be crying in a mess. But every single time, God was right there to put the Band-Aid back on and say, I'm here. I've got you. You can do this. And journaling my prayers and my thoughts, and I started hearing God's voice, and I'd never heard his voice before. So it was kind of a shock to me, but I started writing in my journal whatever I heard his voice say, and I would put a G for God and then whatever I heard him say. And some of the things that he said to me were amazing. It was exactly what I needed to hear at that point in time to keep me going, to lift me out of whatever rut or sadness or frustration that I was in. God was like, trust me, I've got this. I'm just like, wow, okay, yeah, apparently you do. So it's the trusting that's hard, trusting for the future. I don't know what it holds, but I know God has a plan. And God's plans are always better than our own. I know that from past experience. It's just been really difficult to trust God's plan when his plan isn't what I wanted. But some way, somehow, he's going to get the glory through all of this. And I will see. I'll see on the other side when I come out of this and I have a job and a career and my kids are grown and I've persisted and I've trusted and I've been patient. It's going to be amazing and I can't wait.